All right, everybody. It is time for I forgot what I was doing. I should really go to bed. It is time for episode 6, the final episode for Waco. To see how this all ends. We're at day, 29, I think. And the standoff was over 50 days. I can't remember if it was 51 or 59, somewhere there. It's in the 50s. So we're only halfway, a little over halfway through the standoff. And this doesn't end well. I'm hoping in episode 6, they show some of the discussion about how things were handled and that sort of thing. I don't know if they will. It'll probably be just a blurb at the end. But I actually hope they discuss it more than that. So we'll see. If you're ready, let's start episode 6.
Jack Zimmerman, Steve Schneider's lawyer.
We'd like to speak with our clients. Ron Engelman, KGBS.
You can't be serious. You expect me to, what, just let you walk up there and knock on the front door?
We filed a writ of habeas corpus.
No, that only applies when someone's in custody.
Well, if they're non-custody, we'll arrange transportation so they can leave.
They haven't even asked for a lawyer.
Yes, they have. They're asking for their lawyers in front of the whole world. Now, what do you think's going to happen to you when this whole case is dismissed? Because you refused them the right to counsel.
Told you I don't like the guy.
My concern is we got to make sure that they feel it.
They're surrendering. We're going to work out the details of the surrender while David writes down his interpretation of the 7 seals. Then they'll come out.
How long is that going to take?
They're guessing a week.
Tell him to take a few extra days. Maybe he can knock out his memoirs while he's at it.
Look, I just got off the phone with the man, okay? He told me I never intended to die in here. Those are his words, okay? But Koresh's biggest fear is being silenced before he can share his message with the world. If we let him write it, he will come out peacefully.
It's just another stall tactic. You're not taking this seriously, are you?
Sometimes you just want to choke people.
6 weeks. What's one more?
I'm ready.
Strange indeed, for the judgment of man, for who knows within himself that his judgment be true.
Steve Schneider will then deliver the manuscript of the 7 seals to the theologian, James Tabor.
Can I just say, I am impressed if she is able to keep up with his speech while not missing, but while 2 of her fingers are disabled. I think it's these 2. So she's typing with, I can't type as fast as someone talks. I usually have to say, hold on, let me catch up. And when I do the typing tests online, it's like 52 words per minute or something like that. So I type fairly decent. She's missing 2 fingers. She must be a hell of a typist. All right.
Once the manuscript is delivered to Tabor, David Koresh will leave the building, either by foot or on stretcher, followed by those remaining on the inside.
How do we know the place isn't rigged with bombs? I don't want my men getting blown up when they search the place.
Mitch, why the hell would they put bombs in their own house?
I'll be the last one out of the building, and the Texas Rangers will be the ones to secure the scene.
I like him as an actor also.
To protect the evidence.
Not acceptable.
I forget his name. Yeah, I forget what I've seen him in. I just recognize him.
Have tortured him.
We'll accept those. Send out some of the manuscript pages.
No, it's not ready.
David, Gary has got to show his bosses that we are really doing something here. We have to send out some pages.
Steve, last time I rushed it, the message wasn't ready. And finally I've received the word of God. And this is going to be the most sacred revelation in human history. It's got to be right.
I I know, but I am telling you.
And I'm telling you, you'll get it when it's done.
I think both Steve and his wife, I forget her name, acknowledge that they're going to be dying.
All things were created.
Because they also refuse to leave.
You're telling me you've exhausted every other...
Our intelligence shows they continue to abuse...
Wonder who was the Attorney General at the time. Was it Janet Reno? Was she an Attorney General?
There's no other way to end this.
Let me look real quick.
I'm afraid it's the
Yep,
only way.
Janet Reno.
Let me take this to the president.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General.
So who was president at the time? Was it one of the Bushes? It was 93. Or was it Reagan? Terrible at history. Really. So the president during Waco was Bill Clinton. I don't know if they'll show him along with Janet Reno, but probably not. They don't really need that step, I don't think. But, okay.
This thing needs to be brought to a logical conclusion.
CS gas is banned by the Geneva Convention. It would be a war crime to use
That's
CS
interesting.
gas on a terrorist. And you think it's a logical conclusion to use it on American women and children?
You've had almost 2 months to work this out. And you failed.
What do you mean I failed? We have a deal for surrender.
I know.
Oh, I just want to flip him off.
Removing evidence, David.
You are removing evidences. And there's things in here that we can't replace. Like that 68 SSL Camino. You can't replace that. They don't make those anymore.
You know, I don't really have control over that, David.
It's wrong. And you're doing wrong by God and by man. And every day, you're adding to your wrong.
David, you're the one who's doing wrong.
No, 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 no! No!
David, you seem to have no concern about anybody within that place except yourself.
That doesn't work with narcissism.
Please, tell me. Gas? All right, we'll get Walter back on the phone.
No, it cut off.
Cut off? What do you mean cut off?
I got mad and I ripped out the phone.
Why would you do that, Steve?
They're done talking.
Okay, then men in the chapel, women in the vault. We need to wet the blankets to protect the children from the gas, okay?
No, we gotta get out of here.
You're trying to stop me from getting the message out, okay? I need more time.
We gotta leave.
Stay with me, okay? Stay with me. Let's keep moving.
I hope this is the line where Steve actually does leave.
I'm authorizing it.
This is...
That's pretty assaultive. I wonder if Legal Eagle has reviewed this.
Please don't leave us, please.
Stay safe. I'll come back, okay? I'll come back. It's okay.
Don't they need tanks of fresh oxygen to go with the gas mask so that they can breathe? Because the tear gas is going to... I didn't see any filters. I don't think filters are going to work on tear gas. I think they need oxygen. What a mess. Oh, they squished it with the tanks. And something else, if they're using thermal imaging to track the bodies, well, now they can't because there's fire. Frickin' mess. He's gonna kill himself, isn't he? And all because he wouldn't listen to the expert.
And we may never know the truth. So instead, let's talk about what we do know. Fact: Fresno, California, 1973, a standoff with law enforcement ends when tear gas turns to fire, killing those inside. Fact: Los Angeles, 74, standoff between the SLA and law enforcement ends when tear gas turns to fire, killing those inside. Fact: 81, West Fork, Arkansas, standoff, tear gas, fire, death. 1983, Smithville, Arkansas. 1985, Philadelphia. 1987, Escondido, California. All of them, standoff, tear gas, fire, death. The FBI knows this happens, and yet they made no plan to put out a fire if one started. We are, all of us, Americans. When did we start seeing each other as the enemy?
Wow. It's terrible. A third of them. Okay, so that was the final episode. Hey, Pepper. So I didn't warn you all, and I probably should have, because I knew this wasn't going to end well, and I cry at the drop of a hat. I cried when Darth Vader died. So I try to be careful of what I watch and when and all that kind of stuff. And I tried to think of how I was going to handle sad moments on this, but true reaction. I cry at the drop of a hat. So, sometimes there's no explanation, but that one was an obvious explanation. Okay. I can't talk about things either. So, these 6 episodes were taken from the viewpoints mainly of Gary and of Thibodeau. They had other facts that they had gathered. The court stuff is easy to gather all that information and who says who did what and all that kind of stuff. You know, when you're dealing with religion, it's a very personal thing. And when you've got somebody who exploits religion, like he did, I don't know if he knew he was exploiting it, if you know what I mean. He believed what he was saying and what he was doing and all of that, but at the same time, he also knew it wasn't the norm. It wasn't acceptable by society. His mother had him at 14. Who knows? I don't know the history on how he was brought up and that sort of thing. But to have a baby that young, she didn't have any supports or anything like that, that it's going to lead to some pathology. And not every child who's born to a teen mom grows up to be like this, but it's one of those things where you can easily see the pathology, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm not trying to say that just because she had him at 14, but she admitted she wasn't a good mother raising him. So there was hint to some type of trouble, some type of stuff, lack of support, whatever it might have been. So did David know he was exploiting the religion for him to have sex with young women, young children? 14 years old, that is too young. It also makes me wonder if his mother was involved in a similar type of setup, some type of commune, a compound type of living. Just terrible. Hold on, I'll start talking in a minute. I side with Gary a lot. I empathized with him a lot. In my career, I've done a lot of crisis work. And sorry. I've done a lot of crisis work. And I've been in situations where I'm trying to work with someone. I'm trying to help prevent a terrible thing. And I've had protagonists around me, folks who don't understand, who are impatient, pushy, I don't know what you want to call it. They think they have the right answers. Sometimes it is people, colleagues in the same field as me. Sometimes it was other types of first responders, whether it was law enforcement or something like that. And I will tell you, there are a lot of law enforcement out there who do a great job of handling mental illness. Did David Koresh have a mental illness? I don't know. There would have to be a full assessment and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if he ever had one growing up. He definitely had narcissistic traits and the religiosity, that sort of stuff. Religiosity is just so difficult to deal with, because they truly see what they're doing as doing for the better, and can't see the negatives that are happening, or accept the negatives because the ultimate is the ultimate goal, the ultimate positive. It's worth it. It's worth the sacrifice. That sort of thing. I will go ahead and throw this out there, because I talk about it, I'm open about it. I'm agnostic. I won't say whether there is or is not a God. I have interacted with people with religiosity, and I've interacted with people who just have deep faith, and practice their faith in their own way. And I've also dealt with folks who are atheists, who mind their own business, do their thing, that sort of thing. And I've dealt with atheists who are adamant and forceful and like to debate. There's big differences between all of those, but there's also usually a common thread. Most folks have similar values, have similar morals, all that sort of stuff. And that's why we have the laws that we have, is because we agree this is for the betterment of da-da-da-da-da. There's some laws that need to be changed and caught up with in time and that sort of stuff. But, hey, it's just a difficult topic, and when you've got somebody who's taking advantage of it, it's even more difficult. Steve, I empathize, but I also just wanted to strangle him at the same time. He had a chance to get people out of there, and he didn't take it. And part of that was his own struggle about staying loyal to David and listening to David, because David was there for him in the beginning and all that kind of stuff. The stupidity of taking the tanks and destroying everything. They didn't need to do that. How long had they been watching the compound? They'd been watching it forever. They didn't need to do everything that they did. I understand needing to get rid of anything that could be used as a... She's trying to get comfortable. It's not working for her. I understand trying to get rid of areas where the other side can take advantage of things. But you're supposed to do it in a smarter way. You're supposed to be strategic with it. You don't just go and destroy everything. Because look what happened when they did that. They crushed one of the escape routes. I think, I never did catch his name. The HRT guy that was opposite of Gary. I think he realized when she died what his steps had led to. I don't know if he's talked about it or released it or anything, so that'd be interesting to know. But I'd have to learn what his name was first. So The other interesting aspect is they had to get permission from the President and Attorney General to go ahead and take these steps and do these things. Of course, they minimized the tear gas, minimized it even after Gary said, listen, it's against Geneva Convention. And there's usually a reason why a bunch of world leaders agree on something being a no-no. Because they're not going to ban something that would be useful to them as they are defending themselves or attacking. But they are also trying to draw the line. You know, here's the line, don't cross it. So the minimizing, how much did Janet Reno and Bill Clinton actually know about the situation? Did they know it could lead to these outcomes? I lean towards no, since Tony was minimizing. But who knows? I don't know. The radio guy, WK whatever, he, or was it KW something? I know on the other side of the Mississippi it starts with K, I believe, and then on this side of the Mississippi it's a W. WKRP. The radio guy had done some research, brought up some very good points about, look at this pattern. Can we stop making dumb excuses now? It was just a frickin' mess, and that's all you can say about it, I think. I do wonder if they use that as one of the examples for training future FBI, future ATF, future HRT. I've got to look up what HRT is. I would hope they use that as one of the examples. I know in all the trainings I do, they try to use a lot of live examples. I did threat assessment training, and they brought up a lot of the public situations, like the Oklahoma bomber and Unabomber, the 9/11 stuff, which I still can't talk about that because I'll be crying more than I am now. The Las Vegas shooting, the church, not the church in South Carolina, I think it was the church in Texas where the ex shot the would-be mother-in-law, ex-girlfriend or ex-wife. Hi. So they talked about all these real cases. We heard some of the stuff that wasn't necessarily public because we talked to psychologists that were directly involved in consultations with all of the cases. So a lot of interesting case studies that can be used, and I would imagine Waco is one of the case studies that's used for future teaching. As you could probably tell from my commenting and that sort of thing, I knew about the beginning stuff. I knew it ended badly. I knew it left a negative impact on the government. I guess the DEA was never involved. I don't know why I thought they were, but I didn't know exactly all the details at the end. I knew it was going to end badly when I had done some of the research before I watched. I don't mind if I spoil myself. I do mind if other people spoil for me. Oh, it's just sad. So for those of you that joined me on this sad journey, thank you. I've got to edit all these episodes now so that I can get them uploaded. Something that is also sad, but I didn't react the way I did with this one, mainly because it was too zany. I was pissed off with some of it. The next project I'm going to do, I did talk about I'm going to do The Good Witch, and I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do a deep dive into the Tiger King stuff. I've already seen the whole series. I've watched a bunch of reactors, and I've also watched people who've reviewed it. And so my review of it is not going to be a reaction, but it's going to be watching it and at this point, point out different things. Take a deeper dive into this aspect, that aspect, that sort of thing. I do not consider it a documentary. And so I'm hoping to add to the documentary part of this, I think. So that's the next big project. But I'm going to react to The Good Witch as well. Season 5, I think it is. It just released on Netflix recently, so I'm going to watch that. I love that series. So, and it's good, family friendly, and I shouldn't be swearing in that one. All right, so thank you everybody for joining me on this journey. I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope it wasn't too chaotic. And I'll see you